Right, hi, thank you for joining us today on Reboot TV. I'm your host today, Stephen O. Jakes. To my right, I have co-founder of the Reboot programme, Gregory J. Baker. And to my left, I have this amazing individual, Jonathan Shaw, who's founder and developer of a new DTO system and also works with Decoding Pain. So today we're going to touch and discuss on Jonathan's journey, where he's come from, where he was and where he's currently at, and how he's come to, the whole process of his experiences of the Reboot programme and where it's now led to him. So, good morning, Jonathan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Morning.
And so, you was one of the early people, I believe, to do the Reboot programme.
I was. What number was I?
I don't know. About
9?
50. Oh, was it that?
I was early.
9 and 10. Yeah.
9 and 10.
Oh, right.
Yep.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
so let's before we do the programme, make it clear. Whereabouts were you in your life? Whereabouts were you as a person? Whereabouts, emotionally, or where were you that led you to obviously think about doing the Reboot programme?
Well, I was in an unusual place. I wasn't really moving forward to anything. I was kind of a bit lost. I'd done lots of things. I moved into my place where I live now in Whittam, and I'd kind of just got a bit stuck with things. I got a bit bogged down with things. Didn't really know what direction to take. My career was good and things were generally good, but I was just getting a bit sort of bogged down and wasn't feeling really motivated or enthusiastic about anything. There was nothing really exciting happening, and this went on for about a year before I finally decided to do Gregory's course. And I just was looking for something. I didn't know what. I was looking for something. I knew something was wrong. I knew something was missing, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah, so obviously I would imagine that, and well, I do know because we've obviously spoken about it, but up to that point you have also spent quite a lot of your time learning different therapies and different techniques and learning different courses as part of your role. And so obviously you've got a lot of tools that you use, but none of them, I gather, was really able to help you in where you were currently at.
Yeah, I've learned a lot of things. I've learned a lot of really cool things, and they all work, but they weren't. I wasn't able to address what the problem was. I wasn't seeing what was wrong or what the problem was. And if I'm really honest, when I found Gregory, I wasn't sure he could really teach me anything, because I did know a lot.
Yeah.
Quite arrogantly, obviously. I was very arrogant and thought I knew a lot, and obviously I was doing Greg's course, so I realised I didn't. But I really did think, I was questioning, that's why it took me a long time before I actually went on the course, because I was kept questioning, well, what can he do that I haven't heard before?
Yeah.
What's he going to say that I haven't studied or learnt? And so I was quite sceptical, but after a year I just sort of had to do it, because as I say, the tools I was using, they work well, but they just weren't solving my problem. They weren't getting to the root of my problem, helping me move forwards with what I wanted to move forwards with.
Okay, so how did you meet Greg, and how did that come about?
We met at a networking event, didn't we?
We did.
I'm not mad on networking events, but like most people, I was in business, you're told to do networking events, and so I met him there, and we spoke at that meeting, and then we spoke several times over the next few months.
I just want to add there, I was very inspired. You were actually, I think we met a couple of times, but you did a talk once, and it was when you did your talk, what you were so passionate, and I believed in what you said. I thought, and I knew that having spoke to you offline, you were having trouble getting your message and getting your thing out there, and I knew that I had some things to be able to help you.
Yeah.
And so I was inspired to keep in contact with you. And it was about a year after that. That was when
it was. So Greg did keep in contact with me quite a bit, which was great. And at the time, my mission was to help 1 million people out of pain. And I think I expressed that at the talk, and that's what kind of inspired Greg. And luckily, he did sort of keep in touch with me. He wasn't on the phone 24/7 or calling me at 4 a.m. He just kept in regular contact, seeing how I was going. He is now, but I mean, that's not the point. But at the time, he wasn't. And I did the half day thing, didn't I? I did that.
Yep.
And that was good, but I still didn't do the full thing for about a good 8 months to a year after that.
Just for the listeners, there's 3 stages to the programme. There's the Reboot Insights, which is a 2-hour webinar, which we'll talk about at the end, which you'll have paid for, but it's free now. Then the second stage is
Do I get a refund?
2/3 of a day, might do, 2/3 to a day, which is the second stage, which is called Reboot Live, and then the final, if you still think there's something in it for you, then there's the Genesis program, which is between 4 and 5 days, depending on your participation level.
Yeah, and you're obviously how committed you are into doing the process. So, going back, so you know, as a in your social and your personal life, I know that you've been doing children's entertaining, and you're a magician, and you've also got your clinic down in Rayleigh where you work with decoding pain. Was this all stuff happening before Reboot, before you started doing the DTO technique which you developed?
Yeah, well, I started out as a magician in my life. When I left school, I became a full-time magician, entertaining kids and adults.
Yep.
And that was really great. I loved that. And I got to a point in my life, I actually remember coming home one night, pulling into my driveway and going, I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. But I had no other skills. I literally spent all my childhood learning magic, and it wasn't that I didn't enjoy the magic, it's just that I'd done a lot with it. I'd done a lot of things. There was nowhere I really wanted else to take it. I wasn't interested in really being famous as a magician. So I didn't know what to do, and then after that I just sort of sat with that, and then I sort of fell into therapy accidentally, treating physical conditions, pain.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's a big shift, isn't it, from being a magician to now, like, you know, to
well,
all of a sudden...
different kind of
it is
magician.
a different kind of magic.
A different
'cause
kind of
taking pain
magic.
away when they've
Yeah.
been suffering for a long time and nothing's helped, that's actually quite magical for people.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And then but yes, it is a big shift. I mean, it's a big shift in mentality, because
Yeah.
1 minute I'm making people laugh and entertaining, and the next minute I'm,
And did you go out and learn that stuff, or was it something you had naturally in? You know,
No, I had to go out and learn it. I was very lucky. I was taught by a private practitioner.
Yep.
Who I had a problem originally with my knee, and he fixed that, and then he sort of took me under his wing and taught me a lot of the physical body work I do today. And I went back to college and studied, got the qualifications
Yep.
to be able to do what I do today.
Okay.
So that all came before I met Greg.
Yeah.
So that was all in place, and I was transitioning from being a magician to a therapist.
Yeah.
And I hadn't created DTO at that point. That was not. I'd learned lots of techniques like tapping and theta healing and
Yeah.
matrix reimprinting and all of those.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I did Greg's course that I created.
Yeah, just explain to some of the people that are watching what the tapping is, because I know that a lot of people that I've sort of come across and worked with and spoken to, they sort of do talk about it quite highly. So tapping's it's like EFT.
Tapping is EFT,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what I used to use before I had DTO. It's a great way to change your belief systems or your negative emotions, to change your state, to clear trauma from the past. And it's what I used to use with my clients to release the negative traumas and the memories and the belief systems that are causing them to be ill, either with pain or whatever kind of problem they're going through.
Okay, so great. So that's sort of given a good background on Jonathan. So let's go to what we now call insights. You said you'd done the 2-hour thing. What was your general experience? I know you said that you didn't do it for 8 months or so after that, but what was your general feel, or what you took from that? The what we call insights now.
That was the seminar.
Yeah.
Did you do the seminar? Did you do
I
the
did
live?
both.
You did
No, I
both.
did the seminar, then I did the half
workshop,
day.
which was half day in those.
Half day. And then I did the full thing. I did the seminar and the half day kind of close together.
Yep.
And then during the half day, the thing I liked about what Greg said was he said he actually said I wasn't ready for it at the time, so he didn't make me do it. He wasn't trying to make me do it. He actually said you're not ready yet.
Yeah. Well,
Come
this
back
is
to me when you're ready.
Just so you know, this is what we do. If you're not ready, or we don't think you're right to do the course, then we will probably talk you out. We'll unsell you.
We'll unsell you.
We'll unsell you it, and so you might want to just expand on that a little bit.
What the webinar does is we call it Reboot Insights, and it's an insight. Okay, so it's rather eye-opening. So you're going to look at your life. Some people have described it as like a where, you know, you see those maps where it says where you are here. Sometimes we just don't know where we are. So if you do the webinar, it's whole and complete on its own. And what you find is you'll be like, right, I know where I am. So sometimes people think, well, maybe the course is not for me or the next stage is not for me. But then they have so you get quite a few people that do the webinar and then run off and go and know what to do, because it just gives them a stamp of where they are in life.
Yeah.
So that's very eye-opening on its own. It's whole and complete, as I said. if you still feel brave enough, or that you feel that there's something still missing and that you're on the right path, you can then do the live, which is a day. That is, we like to think that as an application for the programme. So what we'll do is we step up the uncomfortableness, if you like, and
We just expand more on what we actually cover in the first few days.
Absolutely.
In the insights, don't we?
That's perfect. Absolutely. So it literally, the syllabus of the live is the same, but we go into depth and, like you say, expand more. So if you like, we have an introduction that's eye-opening, and then we go to the live where we broaden that and we start delving in a little bit more to see whether that's something you want to investigate and whether that's something that you'd like to do. Often that we get about half of the people that do that stage go on to do the programme, about half don't. Often, about half the time people find that that's enough and they go off and do it. And in your case, you did that and came back a little bit late. Did you? What was your?
Yeah, I wasn't ready right then, and I still had my doubts about what you could
Of course.
teach.
Yeah.
Even though I'd done
I
the
didn't know
half
that.
day, and I didn't tell you that bit. I'd done the half day, and that was insightful. It did open my eyes a little bit to certain things, but I couldn't see how it was going to change my problem. I couldn't see how it was going to change my life. Going through those things, and I just sort of went off and went. I just didn't feel right. I wasn't ready, and I was going my feelings and my intuition of what feels
Bit of ego
right.
touching there maybe as well. Like I had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a bit of ego saying it's not right, but my feeling, I wasn't ready. I just wasn't ready. It wasn't right at the time.
Just didn't feel right.
It just didn't feel right to
Yeah.
me. So I left it a bit, and then I don't know what happened. Something happened, and one day I woke up and went, "Got to do it," and my mind completely changed. And when it's got to be done.
I remember now. I remember, yeah. Your whole attitude towards it, you went like, "We need to do this," and there was some urgency about it as well.
Yeah, it became more urgent.
And you were
for me to do
committed.
it. I was committed to it.
So
Before
for-
there was no commitment, so it wouldn't have worked.
So just going back to for those that are watching this, the live, the day, it's not a sale. It's not a sell, right? What you've got to, you will make the decision for yourself, and you'll be clear whether you're ready or not. If you're unclear, you can ask past participants. And because the programme is particularly uncomfortable, they won't try and sell it to you either, because it's not like that. This is about transformation. It will change the way you look in your head. In your own head, you will be unrecognisable from your former self because
Your whole way of being will change.
Yes, exactly. And some of it will be noticeable to the outside world drastically. Some of it won't be, but in your head, you'll be unrecognisable. So,
Well, here's a great example. We spoke to my friend here, about 3-4 weeks ago, and he said, I've seen Steve do, not only have I seen him massively change in the last 2 years,
Yes.
but like I've seen him even change even more in the last month, and that's since I actually done the programme. So even the people close to me, even though I'd done the 2 years of all of the therapy and all of the learning and and made all these changes in my life, my friends still actually saw a huge change from me after I'd made a huge change. So, that's
that's a yes.
so that's how much it actually impacts you.
Yes, and it's permanent, by the way.
Yeah.
So your outlook on things, and it works. It tends to work, and maybe a bit later on towards the end, Steve will do his brilliant thing about blueprint and sucking out stuff, which is out of context, sounds really wrong, but it's worth a listen. But
Can I leave at that point?
Yeah. I try not to
Not
suck
what
it
I
out of
signed up
everybody,
for,
so.
means a plunger.
Yeah.
But now I've lost the thread completely.
Oh, don't worry.
What's interesting is the
Permanent change.
It's a permanent change,
Yeah.
permanent shift. But it's more about the negative things that don't work for you. Okay. And particularly very, very deep beliefs that you don't beliefs you don't even think are beliefs. Like you think that this is the way it is. I think life's peaked and this is the way it is. And you make these decisions. Actually, it's not. It's
Nothing's going to change. I'm
nothing's
stuck like this. I'll always be this way.
Absolutely. And those get pulled out, and then you get a whole new world of possibility. So I want you to imagine that up until a certain point, your life is on just a steady decline. What happens after the reboot or the genesis is it just changes direction and it's a steady incline. So you start living the life meant for you. This is our strap line.
Yeah.
And so it reboots you back to your true state. I think that's probably the
Yeah, I
best
think
way.
it's really great, and that's a brilliant. Actually, put that really, really well. It's probably the best one you've done so far in the videos. And this is the other reason why we're doing these videos, really, is because what we're trying to do is break down the ambiguity or the misunderstanding or or the the whole concept of what we do,
Yep.
and try and make it more accessible, make it more understandable for people that are in that place but don't actually understand what Reboot is. And so these videos are really to try and communicate to you obviously what we do and how it impacts you, but also for you to identify whether you're actually ready to make these changes in your life and to and to start living it. Because a lot of people will say that they had enough of their depression, their anxiety, their this and that and the other, but they're not ready to move from it. They're happy. I wouldn't say they're happy with it, but they're either stuck with it or they're happy with it.
But they're not fed up enough just yet to
do
make
anything
the
about
change.
it, so-
And you need to have, that's a really good
absolutely.
distinction.
So we're going back to beliefs because we had a really good conversation the other night about beliefs. So, and I know that you fundamentally operate your whole process based on beliefs, and you have quite a strong belief about beliefs. So
I have a strong belief about beliefs.
So
yes.
do you want to expand on that a little bit and explain to us and to the people watching about how important that is in our everyday living and our decision making and and who we are based on that.
So ever since I got into the personal development world and all the therapies I learned, they really honed it into me how important your beliefs are. And most people don't really understand, the importance of what you believe. They just go about their day not realising that's important.
Yeah.
But what you believe is going to be your reality. So what you are believing in your brain to be true is going to be your reality. Now, one of my friends once said, so if I believe an elephant's going to appear, an elephant will appear. Very sarcastic and funnily. It's not quite the way your brain works. It doesn't happen instantaneously. But a lot of my clients, they walk around with beliefs about themselves, their self-worth, their value, what's possible for them, their capabilities. And it's those beliefs that stop them from achieving and moving forwards in life and actually cause them to be in pain or to cause them to be ill, either because the belief was born out of a trauma from the past or it was developed through your learning as you grew up, to your mum and dad, to your schooling. But the belief gets instilled in us as we grow up from somewhere. We're not usually born with the beliefs. They just get instilled in us as we grow up, as we learn through things. So a really good example of this is obviously some of my clients. And a lot of times when my clients come to me, especially with pain, their belief system is that they can't be helped because they've been to lots of people. Their belief system is they have to live with the pain often. So one of my clients in particular was a dentist, and she came to me and she'd been to so she was suffering migraines and headaches on the right side of her body. She'd been to a doctor and the doctor told it was her age, but she was only in her mid-40s.
Yeah.
Now this has instilled the belief in her that it was her age. That's a common belief we have these days, that pain affects us as we get older. It's absolutely not true. And I know that because I've been doing it for 20 years and I've treated every age from 2 to 92, and it's never the case.
Yeah.
But we get taught that as a culture. So she's kind of went, okay, and they gave her migraine medication, which didn't really touch it. Went to physio, that didn't work. And then she drew her own conclusion, which was even worse. She drew the conclusion that it was her posture, because she's a dentist, she was in people's mouths like this all day long. She drew that conclusion that posture was causing it, with the knowledge that she had in her head about pain. But that was also wrong. It wasn't what was causing her pain. So the problem with those two things is, for quite a long time, those two beliefs left her stuck in pain.
Yes.
She then didn't do anything else about it.
Well, because it's prevented her now from actually having a solution to it.
It has. It's made a complete victim
Yes.
and prevented any solution.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I walked into her as a patient, and I asked her about it, we got talking, I said, no, I can help you with that. And literally within 4 weeks, all of her pain had gone. And she'd been suffering for ages. And it was nothing to do with her age or her posture. It was something that happened and her body had been affected, and she was now not using her body correctly. But it only took 4 weeks to correct.
Yeah.
But she suffered for way longer than she needed to because of what she believed.
Yes.
And that is a massive problem for people.
Yeah.
So can I just add to that? Just adding to that. So thanks for that, Jonathan. But if you think of what a belief is something that you hold to be true, and if you hold that to be true, your behaviour and your actions will reflect that and be congruent with that. So if you believe in Father Christmas, then you will look out for things. You'll look for evidence of Father Christmas. You'll like everything to do with Father Christmas. Okay. So,
Yeah, but he is real, right?
yeah, of course. Yeah, duh. But if you whatever you believe, you will then find evidence and you'll look for it, and you will find that evidence, okay, to support your belief. that doesn't mean it's true. It's just what you hold to be true.
Yeah.
So that's why multiple people have different beliefs, and they'll find evidence that support their belief.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because what we have is we have beliefs, and we have beliefs that are below that beliefs, and we have beliefs that are below, and you have some core beliefs, and they fundamentally change your behaviour. And so bringing it back to the Genesis, the core part of the Genesis program is actually beliefs, ironically, and we do this thing called dissatisfaction.
Exposing them, pulling them out, or whatever we
Absolutely.
want to do it.
And you won't. That's uncomfortable
Yeah.
because what will happen is, this is why we get a lot of bright people, a lot of intelligent people come to do the program. It turns out there's a theme that what can Gregory or his team tell us, and especially for you Steve. And what we find is that there's so many things that are hidden to us that we've either forgotten about, or we've made a belief up when we're 5 or 6 years old, and then we're running it when we're 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. And by uncovering that, now you're going to fight that because you've been running that belief for years and years and years.
What's it you said to me? It undermined your entire existence
That
of
was it.
your life, or
That's-
whatever it was.
Yeah, so if you think of me challenging you on a belief about something, I know someone that believes that QPR... Anyway, I won't go into
Yeah.
that. That's a joke for the person behind the camera. But the point is, it undermines your entire existence. So the reason that I spent years not wanting... Even though I wanted to transform myself, the reason I was hesitant is because I knew that I was going to have to admit to myself that at 38, that I've been doing it wrong. I've been doing life wrong.
Yeah.
I've been doing life wrong.
You done it earlier than me. It took me till I was 47, I think it was. So
that's resilience.
46.
I'm going to call that resilience.
Thanks, mate. Yeah.
You're welcome, but mate, fantastically brilliant. So that's resilience in us. However, I'd had enough of having enough, and so I had to admit, do you know what? I've been doing it wrong. I've been being a human wrong for me. Not been necessarily doing it wrong, but wrong for me. And so that's how powerful beliefs are.
Yeah, and go on.
Sorry, can I just say, there was one belief that Gregory brought up in me on the course, which I'll never forget, because I held this belief so strongly. One of the tools that I'd learned to analyse why we have problems, so a model of why we have problems, I use, and I still use to this day, but I was holding that as the pinnacle of everything. It was the best model that I'd ever found, and it was so accurate, it was amazing. And Gregory said to me, well, what if that's not the best model? And I freaked out. I could not handle that belief system at all, because it wasn't my model that I was believing in. It was someone else's, and it is a brilliant model. It really is fantastic. It's helped me solve a lot of people's problems and even some of my own. And when he said that, he said, well, what if there's another model out there that you could create? And I was like, well, it's not possible. No, I can't. I can't do better than that.
Yeah.
I can't. That is that is the best. That's the best. There's nothing better than that. And that belief was actually stopping me from coming up with my own thing. Now, I'm not saying my own thing is any better than that or better than anything else, but it stopped me from thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
It stopped me from just taking a different viewpoint, because I was so stuck over
Fixed.
here. It was a very fixed viewpoint.
Yeah, very fixed viewpoint.
And I'd never even questioned it before.
Yeah.
I'd never even thought that there could be something better. And that did fry my brain.
Yeah.
And it was so strong in my mind. So that's how powerful beliefs, obviously I don't believe that now, but that's so powerful a belief can be. And I was so shocked
Yeah.
that I just couldn't see past it.
Well, it's a saying, isn't it? The biggest obstacle to growth and learning is thinking you already know the answer.
Yes.
And I
Yeah.
think that's a big mistake that everyone sort of makes, is they go through life and think all of a sudden they're presented with something and it works. 100% works. You think, right, that's it, I've got it nailed. But actually, as soon as you've done that and you know, and you now have that as that is the fixed thing, you
Yeah.
now prevent any further
Well, it's a
future
limit,
learning.
it's a
or-
limit, absolutely.
It absolutely
Yeah.
limits you.
That's
And
right.
yeah, and I think I think that's a lot of people experience that in their life. Is that for me and for a lot of people that I talk to and stuff, and even you there, you just said it yourself. That's a big obstacle with people. Is you stop growing and stop learning as soon as you think you've already
That's
got the
right.
answers.
So
and-
we have a distinction in the program which we call replace I know with isn't that interesting. So
Yeah.
it doesn't.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, very good. I high five that. So for one, I arrogantly, because sort of kind of discovered the technology, thought I was the number one in the world, but then actually what I'm doing is limiting it, because then I'm preventing anyone else contributing. Now I've kind of thought, do you know what, I've laid the seed. That's all I've done, is laid the seed, but it's a new seed of something. Now I let it get its own momentum, and I want to thank Stephen Cameron. He's added so much already. In fact, during his program he added to it unknowingly to us. But that's down to me to get off my ego and get out of my I know
and allow that.
Yeah. And that's been liberating. But also, it's been liberating. But also, it's not my thing anymore. I can just I don't have the weight on my shoulders to take this to the world.
Yeah.
And now I can almost be irrelevant from that point of view.
Yeah. So let's get back to you then, Jonathan. So obviously beliefs is a big thing, and so you work with people and changing their beliefs. Is that sort of fundamental to the work you do?
That's basically what my system does. My system finds the root belief that's causing the problem, and
this is the DTO.
This is the DTO.
The DTO,
and it switches it off.
Yeah.
And it also has a very unique understanding of beliefs. The way I was taught about beliefs, and what, as far as I know, all the systems I've learned to teach about beliefs, the DTO system changes that and flips it on its head quite dramatically, and says some very different things. And I was by understanding that, I was able to change quite a few things in my life that previously I couldn't change, and also in my client's life. And I was able to do it much quicker and easier. For instance, I don't have to go back to the past and clear past memories anymore. I clear it from triggers.
Yeah.
So everything that's a problem for you is happening around you, and you're being triggered now in your environment. So instead of going back to the past or trying to remember the past, just switch off the trigger that's triggering the response.
Yeah.
And if you no longer feel triggered by it, you no longer have the response, and it goes away. And a lot of the belief systems I switch off now, it's a little bit difficult to describe and understand, but they're not what I was taught to switch off. They're the real deep-rooted belief systems. And like you guys with Reboot, when people come to me, this is not for everybody.
No.
This is really deep stuff. You're really going to the deepest level that I've ever found. I'm sure there's a deeper level, because I'm open to that.
Yeah.
But at the moment, this is one of the deepest levels I've ever found for belief systems. But it really will transform your life once you switch those beliefs off, and it will happen naturally, almost like magic. You won't have to do anything. You just go about living your life, and you change, and your environment changes around you. And I have lots of examples of that from clients where their pain has changed or their response has changed.
It's a bit like the perception is projection type.
It is, yeah. The most recent example I have is a friend of mine, a client who felt like she didn't belong, and she kept travelling from country to country, and she couldn't settle anywhere. No matter where she was, she had to keep moving on. Very much like Lassie or Littlest Hobo, for those of you who've seen that in other countries. So she couldn't settle down, and she just felt like she didn't belong. And so all I did was I found the beliefs, the beliefs under that feeling, very specific beliefs about her, not about belonging, not about the world around her, but only about her, because those are our most important beliefs. Switch those off, and now she's able to settle down, and she's actually thinking of settling where she is at the moment.
Yeah.
But that sense of belonging is gone, and it only took a few weeks to switch it off, but she'd had that for her whole life. It was a real struggle for her. So once you get to root beliefs, you just change naturally, and that is really magical, because there's no effort involved. It just sort of happens.
And it's set in stone forever, isn't it, then?
And it's set in stone because you've got the new belief system.
Yes.
And you're just walking around living that new belief system and that new perception. And it's just much easier.
Yeah. I mean, if you can imagine, if you believe a certain thing and it's causing you so much anxiety or pain or distress or resentment or basically any negative emotion which is heightened because it's being repeated over and over again.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you start looking at the health side of things, when it's when you're actually in those stress situations, it's creating stress hormones. They then attack the cells and they also can make you ill as well. So there's so much importance around getting those belief systems changed and right, which are better for you, not from just a better way of living and a better lifestyle, but from a health perspective as well.
Yeah, what you described was the fight and flight system.
The fight and flight system.
And what happens is you have a trigger, and that trigger puts you into fight and flight, and you develop a belief from that trigger, and that either keeps you in fight and flight or moves you through the process, but you're still stuck in the process because of what you're believing. And that is the problem.
And it's not who you are.
No, you're not being yourself. And the thing about DTO and Reboot is that they basically both bring you back to being you, because they switch off fight and flight. So by switching off the beliefs and the negative trauma, you're switching off your fight and flight response, and you're coming back to being who you really are.
Yeah, because everything's learned. I mean, from the time you're born, you've got this blueprint of who you are, and then basically your parents will project their belief systems and all of their crap that they've ever had on you.
Yeah.
And then, because obviously in the first early years, you're just copying your environment because that's your way of integrating into the new world. So you pick up and copy their stuff. Then you've got your schools. Then you've got the guy at school when you're really young who sort of get all the attention always, and you start copying him because you see behaviours work for him, and then you start taking all these different things from your environment and bringing it in, and they sort of are fundamentally, they're not you at all. They're stuff that you've learnt and copied, but as you go on through life and they're reinforced, they become a belief and who you think you really are.
Yes.
And I think there's something like, I don't know, in some research, it's like 95% of who you are isn't really you. It's actually not you at all. It's other people's stuff, other people's beliefs and all the rest
It's
of it.
worth saying there's a video, if you look up, there's Personality TV's character, which we talk about in a previous one.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to bring, if that's okay.
Yeah.
There's a big tenuous link here. Is that if we go back to the final bit, which is where you did the Genesis, there's kind of three sort of main parts to it, which is the what we call the life hacks and the tools. Then you've got the dissatisfactions, and then the vision and the mission, which is who you really are. So one of the outcomes of Reboot is you get to actually finally be yourself, or start being yourself is probably the best way of saying it. And the tenuous link is that Jonathan was able to generate a brand new, I don't know if you want to call it a technology or a system, that was by him discovering himself. And so just wanted to sort of rewind back to your, if you can remember your Genesis, what the sort of day one and the going through the different sections was like for you, if you remember.
Some of it's a blur.
Yep.
I think I actually blacked out there for a little while. But
because somebody ran away.
because I ran away, yes.
Yeah.
I did actually walk out on Greg for about an hour and 20 minutes on day 2 because he had triggered me so much.
Yeah, I walked out.
And it was just... I had to go to the park, and at that time I only had tapping, so I went to the park, I remember, and I sat on the park just tapping on myself, calming myself down ferociously to try and, because I knew really that I was running a perception, I was running a belief system, and he was challenging that, and I knew it because I was angry, which meant I was in fight and flight, which meant I wasn't being myself. The key to knowing whether you're in a real perception or false perception is if you're having a strong emotional response, you're in fight and flight. So if you want to run away, come out fighting, or just curl up in a ball, you're not being you. You're in fight and flight. So do not come from that place, because if you do, you're going to make a mistake. That's something I always encourage my clients to do. So
it's all learned. I mean, because we all learn those responses.
That's right. So I'd been triggered into that, and I realised it wasn't right. So I calmed myself down, and when I did, I was like, hang on a minute, I need to just see this through. I get he's triggered me, I'm not understanding something.
I didn't know that actually until you've just said it now. So that's actually quite powerful that you basically sorted yourself out to come back. Cause,
I had to calm
that was
myself
quite powerful. Because I had no idea. I was like, oh my God, I can't. For me, it was like having a patient with the chest open and he just got up and walked out, and I'm like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and I didn't know what to do. But what?
But I sort of, I did the same thing. Really, I think there's you know what? For me, there was a complete unconscious or subconscious knowing that this is right and it's true.
Yeah.
But it was so challenging because basically I was just like, well, I know everything. I've done all this work. I know who I am.
Yeah.
But I also knew that where I was hadn't worked for me, and it was actually having to surrender to to the challenge, and just then be able to be okay with it. But it is tough, although it's worth it at the end. As you'll probably go on.
It was totally worth it the other day. Yes, you are right. It was worth it. I did come back, and I completed the course, and I got challenged a few more times. He brought things up, but not in such a big way. And things started to make a bit more sense. And I do remember after day 2, I think we went out for pizza, and I was kind of I was emotionally drained from that. But by day 3, my energy lifted, things were starting to clear. And then after that, literally after finding my mission, I remember sitting down the next day and this concept just popped in my mind of a new way of switching things off in the brain. And it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't have met
Yeah.
Greg and done his course.
Yeah.
Because it came out of doing my mission. There was no way I would have found that.
So that's
Think-
the whole blueprint, really.
It was,
isn't
I was
Yeah.
going to say we might want to battle off pictures. So one of the things that when we've got all the jungle over there, we're in a garden, obviously. One of the
Are we?
things that
Yeah, it's my garden. It's
the
lovely. It's a
outcomes you
lovely
get.
garden, isn't it?
One of the things we get is an outcome is your vision and your mission. Your vision is basically why you're here, and your mission is how you do that. So I always like to think that deep inside you, hidden inside you, is a little instruction manual on how to solve any problem you get. Okay, you just don't know it. But you've kind of got a sense there's there. So if you have a sense that you something doesn't feel right or something's missing or whatever, you're always helping other people and you smash it. Somebody comes to you and you go blah, 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 and you'll have a little way of helping them and they always come to you, but you never do it for yourself. That's because you don't know how it is you do it for yourself. And what we do is we help you articulate that. And the measure is normally you have a little bit of a moment where a lot of people now in Reboot Genesis are having a moment where it is like a reboot, and it's a
reconnect.
It's a reconnect.
It's powerful.
It's like that's me. Oh my God, that's me. And what happens is you get this. We are able to articulate in words your 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 steps that are built into you to how to solve any problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's a saying, isn't it? The way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Absolutely.
And what that basically is that process that we can actually give to you.
Discover from you.
Yeah, and actually give it to you in words. This is what you do. Read it. This is how you do it. And then what you'll do is you'll then go back and say, okay, think of another time where you've helped somebody, and then follow that, and you'll go, oh my God, that's exactly what I do.
So all of a sudden your entire life weaves together and makes sense.
Yeah.
The only difference is now you can do it for you. So what Jonathan did was we started test driving it, if you like, afterwards, and it was I remember it being incredibly liberating, because his thing is basically it's what he'd been told. What he had really never been true to himself is actually that he's actually might be better than, or his ideas might be better for him, and therefore better, maybe better for the people that. But it's about being yourself. I wasn't clear there, but it was what came up frequently is I've been told that, so that's what it is. I've been told that, that's what it is. But actually, that's not true. And actually, if you think about all the people on telly, on the TED Talks and all that, we get told to do this, practice this, gratitude for that, but that might not be who you are. What Reboot does over anything else, it helps you just be yourself, and you just might want to have a tattoo, or you just might want to...
It helps you find, uncover, discover, and then be.
Oh, like that. And that's what's happening. That's what happened to you, and you'd got to your limit of what you've been told, and actually what was inside you was bursting with new stuff. So that's what happened the next day, didn't it? So
yeah, I woke up next morning and I was working. I had a belief come up on the course that I'd carried for a long time about an ex, and I used one of the tools from the course, and I used my mission, and the combination of those two things, I had this little process sort of happen, and I just followed what my head was telling me to do, and within seconds the belief had just gone, and I was like, that's not possible. But it had gone, and I tried a few other things, and they went, and I tried that day in the afternoon with some of my clients, it just vanished, and then over the last few years I developed it. It's become a whole complete system for not just clearing your belief systems, but actually being able to find the root of all problems very quickly, very easily, without having to go back to your past, and switching off the root problem by finding the trigger.
And all Jonathan's done is be himself.
Yes.
That was the thing.
That's what I did.
So what we do here at Reboot is all we do is, and it's not complex actually, whilst the process seems complex and it sounds complex, it's actually not at all. It's just uncomfortable.
And you need to be participating in it.
You need to
You've got to be 100%
Yeah.
in it.
Absolutely.
Do it.
You've really got to, because if I'd have done it when I wasn't ready, it wouldn't have.
No, it's
wouldn't
not.
have
It's not a
worked.
fix.
You've really got to want to do it.
Absolutely. But what it does is the outcome is you start to love you, you start to be you, and think. And my favourite word is it's liberating. And I like to use this phrase because it liberates yourself from yourself. There's only one person in this world that's stopping you from achieving, from you being you, and that's you.
Or achieving anything, or being anything, becoming anything.
And that's it. And what we're able to do is help you be that. That's what we do. We're a catalyst for transformation. It's not change, it's transformation. It's basically putting you back to the butterfly that you were born. And so what's really lovely to hear about Jonathan is that now his life is dedicated to helping healing people with his system that he's developed. He's teaching people to do it for themselves. He's teaching other people to do it. All he did was allow himself the chance to be himself, and he was able to have the courage.
Reconnect.
Yep, but he had to absolutely reconnect with who he was born to be, and it took courage. It took courage and bravery to be yourself. I know it sounds odd, but and the measure is you tell us. You go. Do you know what? That is it. We're not here to tell you anything. What we do is we uncover what's already there, what's already built in you, what's already innate, born in you.
Yeah.
We help you see, and that's the liberating thing.
Yeah, I mean, so what theoretically, I'll just go back to what really Genesis does, especially in the dissatisfaction process, is that all your past all your crap that you've had from all your life, your past traumas, what we basically do is really sort of suck it out of you.
That was the sucky thing.
We suck all of that the negative experiences and negative emotions out of you, and then take you back to a point really before any of that really happened, and then reconnect you to that point. And by doing that, you're now in touch with who you really are mentally, and in your blueprint. You really connect to your blueprint again. But what we do is we then take that connection and bring it into the present moment.
Yep.
And then off you go as that rebooted person, if that sort of.
And you get help and support afterwards.
Yeah,
by the way,
absolutely.
should you need it. Some people just go off. We don't see them again. Other people keep in contact for weeks and months.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I will say that he did. If I needed him, he was there, and he was there to help. And he's actually added, since the course, he's added more information and helped me further along the process, and which has been great, because some people just leave you to get on with it, and some people like that, as you say, that's okay. But some people do need some backup support sometimes, and he has always been there, and that's one of the
And
good
there's
things
more of
about
us
Greg.
now.
He
yeah,
does
what
care.
I've noticed is like what I've noticed, because I only did mine 3 months ago in March, and what I've sort of discovered is it's a bit of a community. It's sort of where everybody seems to have all the previous customers and previous clients,
Yeah.
Jonathan and Mark and Grace and Claire and all.
Adil,
Basically,
yeah.
they all and Adil, we all seem to have this unique belonging community thing. Like there's some sort of connection.
Yes.
That's absolutely marvellous. It's wonderful, and anybody that chooses to do the course and have the reboot experience has the ability to be part of that if they want to, or they can just go off and be who they are on their own.
Absolutely.
But there is
Yeah.
that whole, not only is there a support mechanism, but there's also this understanding. There's this sort of unconscious connection that everybody has. That's very, very nice, and it is like a community where everyone shares and talks and helps each other after the process.
Yeah, and I think that's really powerful. And to add to that, the community has one major thing in common, and that is that there's no judgment anymore. So it's a little unusual to be transformed, because you don't your ability and capacity to judge drops to either zero or near zero.
Yeah.
And it's odd when you get back with your mum and your dad and your brother and your partner and your sister, because they'll be in judge world, and you'll be like.
But the funny thing about judgment is that's just what you see in yourself.
Yes, exactly.
So when you're judging other people, that's your weakness.
Absolutely, but to add to the community thing is that so it's a different experience. So I'm quite silly, right? I'm quite a silly adult. I mean, I'm 45, act like I'm 17, and they just know that that's me being me.
2. Acts like he's 2.
All right, I'm 2, but
That was a slight exaggeration.
updoors, as my mum would say.
Yeah.
Updoors.
It's a belief you've got going there.
It's a
It's
belief.
not
Yeah,
there,
you've
man,
got a belief
yeah.
going on
So
there.
I think I'm more 14. But the point is that I'm free, and often I'll be silly less because they won't react to it, so it'll just pass. If they react to it, I just do it more and more and more, and I think that's a really important thing, because something Grace said the other day in an interview. She said when you're being you'll then get work that is congruent with who you are. Then work doesn't become work anymore. It's not a job anymore. We're chilling out in a garden with a glass of water, just having a chat with our mates. That's what's going on. But this is our work. This is what we do. We love it, and this is out of me being honest with myself.
Yeah.
I've been a highly successful entrepreneur, multi-million-pound businesses. Wasn't happy. Now, there's just a bunch of us
Well, I was the same as you.
Absolutely, another entrepreneur. We both had money, had wealth, had stuff, all that stuff. There's no depth to it. There's no meaning to it. Now we have meaning and purpose, and we're able to give and share. And all we're doing is being ourselves, and it's lush.
Yeah. So,
Sorry.
so anyway, thank you for that.
Yeah, no
Greg,
worries.
you having a little soapbox there?
Yeah, it was a little bit of soapbox. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Left into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So let's back to you. So obviously it's had a massive impact the whole process,
Yes.
and it's obviously changed your life in a big way.
Yeah.
And is there anything you really want to talk about? Anything you'd like to add, or people to know really about, how Reboot's helped you, or how you can help people, or what's going on with you right now?
I would just like to say, as I say to everybody, there is no reason to suffer in life. I've always believed that. I think it's the thing that keeps me going and finding new ways of solving things.
Yeah.
A lot of people believe they should suffer, they have to suffer, or it's just part of life. Yes, things happen in life, tragedies happen, but it's more about how we cope with it rather than whether we suffer through it. We could just choose to suffer through it, or we could choose to
Move away from it.
move through it and come out stronger
Yeah.
on the other side. We don't have to suffer. We don't have to live in pain. We don't have to be ill. We don't have to be miserable in our jobs or unhappy in our relationships or not make the type of money we want. We can do anything you want. You just need to change your viewpoint, your perception, your belief systems, and it can be done. So whatever you decide to do, just make a change. You don't have to be that way. And I know it's difficult for some people to believe that you can change things, but we've done it. We do it with our clients all the time. It really can be done, and Reboot is an amazing start to that process. And really, the key is to becoming yourself. So, becoming you is the first step.
Yeah.
So, I'd highly recommend Reboot and Gregory, because if it wasn't, Gregory really has changed my life. In all honesty,
Yeah.
not just doing the course, but knowing him, hanging around him. He is a very unique individual. And that some of the things I've been to, I'm not sure I would have coped as well. Well, I know I wouldn't have coped as well if Greg hadn't been in my life. So
Yeah, I will echo
that's-
that. I probably went through a probably similar thing. Not so much now, but initially,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and to have someone like that in your life, not necessarily because of what he's created, but just because of who he is, and the way he cares and loves for people.
Yeah.
That is something unique that I don't see in many people. The way he genuinely cares about people.
And the other thing as well is it also enables people to have a safe environment to be able to feel free to be able to unload their stuff and to actually deal with their issues without having fear of that judgment or fear
That's
of
right.
that you're actually going to turn up to Reboot and you can just go blah.
Yeah, and he has no judgment whatsoever. He
Yeah.
does not judge anything. You can say anything to him, he does not judge it, which is the best thing. That is great, because you need someone like that.
Yeah.
And I think that what he's created is fantastic. And out of what I did with him, I created my thing, which has helped so many more people and helped me grow even further. And I've even been able to pass the help back to Greg.
Absolutely.
And help him in other ways. So it's like a community and a bit of support, and we all help and
Interdependence.
support each other,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. Did I get that right? Was that right? Did I repeat it right? The way you wrote it?
Oh, great.
I was having a moment there.
Yeah, no, that's great. So that's really great. That's great what you said there, because that really does. Hello. It really does cover the areas of what Reboot and what Jonathan does. So anybody that's watching and maybe have a pain issue or maybe needs to change some beliefs and wants to work with you. I know you've got a website and I know you've got a clinic. So why don't you tell anybody that's watching now how they can contact you and how you can help them?
If you're suffering in pain, chronic pain, autoimmune problem, if you've got chronic illness, or there's a problem in your life you want to change, you can go to my website, which is www.decodingpain.com, or you can give me, if you're in the UK, you can give me a call on my mobile. There's a number on the website, or you can email me, even better, jonathan@decodingpain.com, and we can have a chat on the phone or chat over Skype to see if I can help you solve your problem and get to speak with each other and see if we connect and take it from there. But really, if you're in pain, you definitely don't need to suffer. You can change it.
I can echo that, because what did you do? I was having a coffee on Friday. I had a toothache. 15 seconds later, the toothache had gone. Incredible stuff. So, and I know you work with Jonathan as well, so you might want to echo some of the work he's done with you. And so, just briefly.
Yes, so using the DTO system, Jonathan, thank you, Jonathan. You've helped me many times. Probably a quick example was when I Did we do this one the other day? Where I have a love of my life. We get back together. We break up. We get back up to, I think we're up to 24 times, and we're not together at the moment. But any time we went off, because I'm certain I love her, she'd maybe go off with somebody else, and then I would know those people, and that would make me feel I would feel sick inside. I didn't want to go out just in case I bumped into them. After one particularly on this one treatment from Jonathan, he just switched that off. Now I'm happy to go up and have a beer with them. It is that powerful.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's probably an example of switching off something, a negative thing that doesn't work for me, which then liberates me. It totally liberates me. It doesn't make it okay. It means I'm liberated from it, which is very powerful.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great. So, if you're interested in the Reboot program, we have. You can go to our website www.reboot.uno, where you'll find a quiz on there, which
it's an eye-opening quiz. It's about 3 minutes, and it will just. They're unusual questions.
Yes, they are.
And they will, but they'll feel familiar, and they'll feel like, and they'll open your idea to what's possible, and where. It's not necessarily what's possible, but where you are.
Identify where you are in your life.
Yeah, where you are, and it might. It's quite a difficult, challenging quiz because it will be eye-opening.
It can give you an insight into whether you need to do insights.
Absolutely. So that brings a nice segue. I'll have
Thanks,
to high
mate.
five
I like that.
So then we have got the webinar, which is it's a 2-hour free. It used to be charged for as a seminar, but you can do the webinar. I've got one coming up soon. You'll see a link for all of these. There's a link around this video for the quiz. There's a link for the webinar. You can register there. If you click on that, again, it's free. You will need a video camera on your phone or your iPad or whatever device you've got, and a camera and a mic, because you will be participating.
Yes.
Even if it's just, you don't have to participate fully. From that point of view, if you're feeling shy.
It's something we used to charge for. It's now free, and you will
Absolutely.
learn a lot from it just in that 2 hours. So.
And that's called Insights, and it will give you where you are in life.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is we do a thing called Pre-Sites, Reboot Pre-Sites, which is an informal discussion at the Two Brewers pub. Plenty of parking. If you don't drink, there's nice coffee and tea.
There's food there.
They do food.
We've had a few people come along, and it's been really beneficial. Last week we had somebody come down, and it looks like that we've been able to help them, which is great, because it just takes the stigma away of actually just jumping straight into the webinar.
Absolutely.
You can actually come and have a chat, get to know myself and Greg, talk about whatever issue you have, or want to learn more about how this will work for you, and we can then
Absolutely. So you'll get to me.
help you with the information.
Absolutely. It's a ticket event, so if you go to Eventbrite, you can either search Reboot events or Reboot on Eventbrite, or there's a link around this video. And again, that's free. Might even treat you to a drink.
Yeah.
And I think that's it. Those three
I think
things.
that's it. So anyway, thanks for joining us, Jonathan.
Thank you for having me.
I know you're off busy working with clients this afternoon, so thanks for turning up. Thanks for being with us and sharing your life and your information. It's really valuable stuff, and and helping us with the Reboot program. Greg, thanks for coming as per usual, and we look forward to seeing you in our next interview, or our next fireside chat as we call it. And thank you for joining us.
Ciao.
Bye.